whoa, I've gone. And my dad, you know, he proper backed me. And my mum, they supported me throughout everything. Do you know what I mean? All the struggles you go through and everything.
This is England, Line of Duty, Peaky Blinders, Pirates of the Caribbean, Venom, The Irishman. That is the CV of our next guest. It's Stephen Graham!
Yes!
Stephen Graham!
Hello, everyone.
On Capital Breakfast. Any shows that we missed that you think we should have mentioned?
No, not really. No, that's
No?
very kind of you, yeah.
Apart from the new one, probably.
Apart from the new one.
Yes.
Yeah, well done.
The new one, Adolescence. We should just get straight in and talk about it.
I think we should, just first things first though, that accent, hearing your voice on this microphone. Wow.
Oh, all right.
It's just so iconic, isn't it? It's actual
very
Stephen
much.
Graham.
Wow.
So Adolescence, it's out now. People have been watching it over the weekend, but for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, and we're on the school run, so I'll be careful exactly what I say.
So good.
But it's a
Thank
family whose life is completely turned upside down. Their 13-year-old son is accused of something very serious.
Yeah.
And the question that you're sort of asking every member of the audience is, if it came down to it, would you trust your child?
Of course, yeah. And it's also that kind of question is, look, it's not a spoiler alert. We find out by the end of the first episode that he has done it. Do you know what I mean? And then that was what we always wanted to do. When the concept was then, it's not a who done it. It's why did he do it?
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? That's what we looked at, because the idea came from, I read an article, and just to go a little bit serious, you know, it's what the piece is basically. I read an article a while ago now about a young boy who stabbed a young girl to death. And then I saw a piece on the news about 4 months later, and again, it was a young boy who stabbed a young girl to death. And they were at opposite ends of the country. And I just thought, why?
Yeah.
What is it? What's happened in society today where this kind of thing is happening? Not once, not twice, like 3 or 4 times now. Do you know what I mean? And I just thought that would be an interesting thing to look at. And then there's that beautiful saying, it takes a village to raise a child. So in that many respects, I thought that we're all slightly accountable in certain ways, because I've kind of got myself together a little bit, but I judged it straight away and I blamed the parents. And then I thought to myself, well, no, stop judging. What if it's not? What if it's not the parents?
And you say that in the pub and stuff, you go, I blame the parents.
Straight away without even knowing the full story, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
That's so true. And it's proper gritty as well. And it's like something we've never seen before, because I'm right in saying each episode plays out in real time. It's just one long camera shot.
That's right. Yeah, it's all one shot.
Wow.
And it's an unbelievable kind of experience as an actor. Do you know what I mean? It really is. Because you're marrying both disciplines, basically. So you have that kind of spontaneity and that live adrenaline rush of theatre. But in the same respect, you have the minimalist and the kind of naturalism acting of film and television. Do you know what I mean? So you bring both of them together.
Yeah.
And on top of that, and I don't mean, I love crews. As you just 2 people on the mic now, and we've seen all the crew behind you. They're the ones that do all the graphics.
Of course they are.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Of course
You
they
know
are.
it.
Producer, mixes,
Look at
you
them
know
all
what I
nodding,
mean?
yeah.
Researchers.
Yeah.
They
They
do
know
all
we
the,
love them.
Well, yeah, and we have to. They do all the graft and we get all the glory. True. You know what I mean? Basically, that's how it works. There's, we're like ducks swimming on the pond. These are our legs.
Yeah.
But in that respect, to work with a crew so closely in that kind of environment, and you know how it works. So you've got boom operators, you've got props who are resetting, you've got camera operators. Matt, our wonderful, amazing camera operator, and our DOP. And Lee as well, the other camera operator, because they had to swap the camera to each other.
Wow.
Because it's such a long take, do you know what I mean?
Are you going to do a making of?
I think there's some stuff behind the scenes.
And it's the same director who did, and I loved Boiling Point.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, so it's Philip Barantini. I'm saying that right?
Phil Barantini, he
And
directed
that movie is amazing, because again, it's all one long shot, and it's so intense, isn't it?
Yeah, that was kind of what we were after, do you know what I mean? And within the complexities of that, you're in the one environment, so you're in the restaurant all the way through, do you know what I mean? Whereas with this, we thought, right, we need to raise the stakes a little bit. So the stakes get raised massively. We go from the house to the police station in episode 1, which is unbelievable.
But how? I can't rack my brains around it. Let's just say how hard this would be to get right. You've got to get your lines right. All the actors have got to make sure they nail that. The cameraman, he can't trip over. He can't say, "Can I do another take?"
No.
He can't do the zoom or get the, he has to be in focus.
Well, the focus puller has to be there watching. I mean, and that's such a difficult job.
stressed
You know what I mean?
So that's the other thing. That's a separate job. There's a cameraman. There's someone pulling the focus
Pulling
in
the
and
focus,
out.
yeah, well done,
Wow.
well done. Yeah.
And then you've got what else? You said about the props. The props
Yeah,
coming
you've
in
got
and out
props
and
department
changing.
sorting stuff out, yeah.
Continuity. Can you imagine that? The pressure. What happens when you get that? You must feel the pressure so much.
Well, you kind of, look, without sounding pretentious, do you know what I mean? You do feel the pressure, but then you also hit this kind of place of zen. Look, athletes call it when you're in the flow, don't they? Do you know what I mean? When you just, nothing else exists and you're just in the flow. And as an actor, you know, that's what you're, again, without trying to sound pretentious, but that's what you're aiming for. You're aiming for that kind of connection of mindfulness, do you know what I mean? Where it just comes natural. And with this, everything's heightened, do you know what I mean? Massively. So you kind of hit that place where you're just in the moment and you're so present that it just flows. But you've done all the hard work before.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like a footy team. You know, you practice, and then on the pitch, it just comes to life, doesn't it? If you're any good, like, you know what I mean?
I don't think you've ever sounded pretentious in your life. I wouldn't worry
never.
about that.
Thank you,
I wouldn't worry about that.
I agree. And also, you were saying in between the songs a minute ago, and I think this is so interesting, that also part of this was inspired by 24 Hours in Police Custody, which I'm obsessed with. I love that
Great
show.
show.
It's
I
a
love
great
that show. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just that kind of procedural element of watching how they catch the criminals, do you know what I mean? And that's, again, in episode 1, that's what we really wanted to do with this as well. We wanted to show you the process. And then you get to see how the police have put this case together and the evidence that they have, but you also get to see it from a different perspective. Do you know what I mean?
Mad. And you've written this show as well. You write.
I co-wrote it with Jack Thorne. It was an idea that I had in my head. I had a kind of outline for the 4 episodes. I say it's kind of like we were Frankenstein. I brought the body parts, he injected the spirit, and then the rest of the cast and the crew gave it the soul. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
Is it the first TV show you've written?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is,
You produced some, but this is different, I suppose, when you're actually writing it as well.
Yeah, it's a very different experience. And my wife Hannah, you know, she's my right hand. She's more than my right hand. She's the brains behind the whole organisation. And she's magnificent at kind of helping me pull these ideas out of my head as well. So she was integral to that whole process. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Also, take this how you will. You're in really good shape at the moment. You look great.
Thank you very much. Cheers, lad. Thank you.
What is this? Because this was your routine.
Smashing the gym and that, lad, you know what I mean? I do the gym 4 days a week, lad. Yeah.
Is this
with our kid? No, me and Alfie do the gym. It's because of 1,000 blows.
Right,
Yeah.
I thought so. Which is everybody's been watching. That's on Disney, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what were your training regime for that? Was it quite intense?
it was proper. It's just the amount of food you'd have to eat, you know what I mean? You get sick of chicken and broccoli. I don't think I could have got more scouse there, could I? Chicken and broccoli. Chicken, broccoli, steak, eggs, oatmeal, shed loads of whey. Constant, loads
like
of whey.
protein powders and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
you'd have to, that's thick stuff as well, but yeah. And then it was basically, I'd work 5 days a week.
Really?
So 2 days push, 2 days pull, leg days. I'm a
God.
proper gym rat now. No, 2 days push, 2 days pull, and leg day. And then on top of it, so that was with Rob, my trainer, who's phenomenal. And then one of my really good friends, Graham, he was my boxing trainer. So we do boxing like 3-4 times a week as well.
Wow. I mean, perk of the job in a way, even though it'd be tough. That you come out of it, you're like, oh, this is great, I get to keep this.
Yeah, you put the effort in, though. Do you know what I mean? You put the work in. But I turned 50 on that job. And my missus, I've gone all shy. And Hannah was like, wow, you're looking good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I have to say, it did cross my mind when I watched 1,000 Blows, because you worked together on that as well.
Yeah.
And I did think, I was like, I bet she's thinking, he scrubs up well.
She did, yeah.
Is it quite nice that you've got you have got your wife who you work with on a lot of projects, but I've noticed that Erin Doherty's in this new one as well.
Yes.
He was brilliant. You might remember her from The Crown as Princess Anne, but she was in 1,000 Blows.
Yeah, she's brilliant. Have you seen her?
She's fantastic.
She's unbelievable as Mary, isn't she?
Brilliant as Mary.
She's so good. That walk.
She's a psychologist.
In the
new one,
yes.
But in the old one, she's like a gang leader, and you don't mess with her. She's tough as
She
old
plays
boots.
Mary Carr, who was a woman who actually existed. Do you know what I mean?
I couldn't believe when I found out it was a true story.
All of those people, I think 90% of the actual cast were real people.
Amazing. You need to get on it. I think, have you watched the first one, 1,000?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's so much to watch at the moment, and you're in so many good things.
Oh, no, thank you.
Where do we even begin? The new series Adolescence, which is streaming on Netflix right now. It's so good. I reckon if you loved Little Boy Blue, that was the right one. Yeah. And if you love Boiling Point, you're going to be obsessed with it. We should also talk about your new career as a TikTok dad dancer as well. This is
That's Alfie and Grace, innit? Setting me up.
Yeah.
These are your kids, Alfie and Grace. You're huge on TikTok.
Am I? I don't know.
You are.
Millions of views.
Really?
Yeah, honestly.
Millions.
But it's so nice because we sit, quite often you are playing, gritty, hard man.
Yeah.
It's very nice to see this different side of you on TikTok.
Well, that's me normally, do you know what I mean? That's me being dad at home, yeah.
Have you never seen the videos?
He shows me things now and again, but it's the way he sets me up, because he goes, "Oh, Dad, look, can you do this?" And I'm like, "What? Yeah, I'll do that, yeah." And then he goes, "Oh, nice one, Ta." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "Right, well, I've got your own thing, And I'm like, "Let me see what you've done."
Thingy.
And I'm like, "Okay, there you go."
They're massive. They go everywhere. I've seen them all over TikTok. And,
Yeah, same.
Nice one.
But it is funny because I suppose to them you're just dad, and they sort of forget that you've got this illustrious career that's very serious.
Well, that's what's great about them too. Do you know what I mean? They keep me proper grounded, and they're lovely. They're wonderful kids. I couldn't ask or pray for any better.
Oh yeah, because I've seen you all on Gogglebox. I was thinking I've seen you with your kids.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, me, Hannah, and Grace and Alfie did Gogglebox, the charity one. That
Brilliant.
was good fun, and that's exactly what it's like in our house. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Them two bicker and then make up, and it's lovely. And me and Hannah just sit there in the middle as two referees going. Yeah, well, maybe she was a bit hard on us. And I'm like, yeah, but he is right, though, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
It's funny, though, because it's like two ends of the scale. You've got your TikTok and being dad, and then you've got we're saying in the room, we might as well call you, how do we phrase this? Scorsese.
Martin Scorsese.
Scorsese.
Oh, that's nice. I love that one.
The amount of times you've worked with him. Is that
Thank you very much.
Well, this is quite cool, though, because talk us through that first interaction when you get the call up from someone like him.
You just don't. You never believe it's going to be possible. Do you know what I mean? You don't. You just don't. It's unfathomable. I mean, I'm a kid from a block of flats in Kirby. Do you know what I mean? I had posters on my wall of Taxi Driver, and I also had the FA Cup winning team. Just throw that one in there. Daglish and so I had that. I remember I had that, and I had postcards. My dad used to buy Empire magazine, and there'd be postcards of different actors. So I had De Niro, Pacino, Gary Oldman, Daniel Day-Lewis. I had all of these kind of pictures of these people on my wall, and I had a poster of. My poster that I had was Taxi Driver. My dad had got me from HMV back in the day.
Oh, classic.
Yeah. So I had that poster. It was like a really nice little one. So when I get the call, which I was actually going for I had to go to, back in the day, I was going for an audition. It was atrocious. It was awful. But you got to put food on the table, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I really didn't want to go. You know, one of them ones where you just don't want to go. And I'm there and I'm waiting, and I'll go and have a quick coffee. So I've gone into this little cafe, and then Jane, my agent, phoned me, and she's going, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sound." I was really annoyed because I had to go for this interview. She said, "Okay, you sitting down?" I was like, "Yeah, what's going on?" She was like, "You know the Scorsese thing that you put yourself on tape for 4 weeks ago?" I was like, "Yeah." She went, "Well, you've got the part." And I was like, "What?" And she went, "You've got the part?" I went, "You're kidding me." She was like, "No." She went, "Right, you've got to fly to Rome in 5 days, and you're going to meet him there, and you're going to have a conversation about it all, and then you're going to start shooting a couple of weeks later." And I was like, "What, I'm going to Rome?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And then I went, "I don't have to go for that audition now, do I?" And she was like, "No, you don't."
Oh, great.
She went, "No, you don't have to go to the audition." And then there was this lovely, I'll never forget it, there was this lovely family sat in the table across, and I just went, "Excuse me," and they were like, "What is it? Was it some good news?" And I was like, "I'm going to be working with Martin Scorsese." And they were like, "Oh, lovely." And they must have thought I was a little nutter, you know what I mean? But it was wonderful.
What film was that? Was that the Irish?
That was Gangs of New York.
Oh, yes.
That was Gangs of New York, yeah.
Oh, wow. Because you worked with Scorsese on that, and then...
Then he phoned me up, and I'd see him a couple of times because I became good mates with Leo then from Gangs of New York.
How mad! It's just Leo DiCaprio. I mean, this is madness, isn't it?
Yeah, he's my mate. You know what I mean? So, it's just Leo. But we became like really close and stuff, and he he's a good pal. And I'd go along with him to his premieres. He'd invite me and Anna to his premieres when he'd be over here. And he'd done another film with Marty. And after we'd finished Gangs of New York, Marty said to me, I promise you, we'll do this again. So then I'm turning up to these premieres going, he said you were going to give me another go. And he's like, but yeah, no, I'm waiting, kid. Don't worry, it's coming, it's coming. I was like, oh, okay. And then I got this phone call again and he was just like, have you been? I'm like, yeah. And I hadn't had no work at the time. It was a bit of a struggle, I think. I don't think I'd had a job for a while, do you know what I mean? It was this career, as you know, can be full of ups and downs.
Yeah.
And I hadn't had a job for a while. And he was just like, are you busy? And I was like, no, I haven't been busy for a bit. And he was like, okay, well, look, I've got this thing and I want you to be in it. And I'm like, okay. And he was like, yeah, it's called Boardwalk Empire.
It's class.
Right? And I was like, oh, okay, nice one. I knew nothing about it. No one did know anything about it. I was like, all right, nice one. And he went, yeah, no, I want you to play Al Capone. And I went, sweet. Okay. Sweet. That's great, Matt. Yeah. And he was like, okay, don't watch no films. Don't study any of it. We'll make the character our own because we're going to take him from a kid. And I was like, okay. And Hannah's there, sat on the couch. When we were in our little house. And Hannah's there, sat on the couch with a cup of tea going, what's he saying? And then I put the phone down. She's like, well, what did he say? What's he saying? I went, I think he's just asked me to play Al Capone. And she was like, really? I went, yeah. And she went, what's that mean? I went, I've no idea. And then, obviously, it came about, you know what I mean?
Brilliant.
That's
Such
amazing.
a good series as well, Boardwalk.
And then we did The Irishman after that.
Yeah. And you worked with Robert De Niro.
I know,
on that.
Pacino, yeah. So that's what I mean. Can you imagine that kid, that 13-year-old kid in Maple Towers on Roughwood Drive, do you know what I mean, in a block of flats, and looking at his wall occasionally going, wow, these are amazing. Because when I was a kid as well, my dad took me to the video shop. This is a well-known story. And he got three...
Blockbuster back in the day?
No, it was just Quarry Green Video Shop. It was before Blockbusters.
Just go and get your videos.
Blockbusters was all the way in the town.
Okay,
Quarry Green was just around the corner. But it was like a library, wasn't it? You'd spend like 3 hours in the video shop.
Yeah.
Trying to pick a film. And especially them weekend deals where you got like 4 for £2 or something like that. Do you know what I mean? And we picked 3 films. He picked 3 films. I said, this is what I want to do. And he was like, you sure? And I was like, yeah. And he went, come on, let's go to the video shop. And he got 3 films, and he got Taxi Driver, The Deer Hunter, and The Godfather.
Wow.
We watched them all over the weekend. I was only 14.
And then you ended up working with him.
And then, can you imagine my phone? Can you imagine?
Telling your dad.
Thank you. Can you
Stop.
imagine that phone call?
No.
Can you imagine what that phone call was like?
I actually can't. It must have been the proudest moment.
What makes me want to go on it? Do you know what I mean?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
I got goosebumps.
Yeah, because it was like, I phoned him actually. I went, Dad, and he was like, what? I went, you'll never guess who I'm going to be working with. And he was like, who? And I went, Marty's asked me to do a film again. And he was like, oh, wow, that's amazing, son. I went, yeah. I'm getting emotional.
See Stephen now, he's got tears in his eyes because it's
lovely.
great.
And it's so much to you.
Yeah, it does. And my dad, I've gone. And my dad, he proper backed me. And my mum, they supported me throughout everything. Do you know what I mean? All the struggles you go through and everything. My contact lenses come out. And he was just, you can imagine anyway. It was unbelievable.
Did he believe you?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Did he just?
Yeah.
I bet he was gobsmacked, wasn't he?
He was. I mean, he was so proud.
We didn't want to make you cry today.
That's all right.
You know,
my contact lens out.
Sorry.
But how incredible for him to have witnessed that moment.
Yeah.
Because thank God he was there. Do you know what I mean? To hear it.
Exactly. And sometimes it only takes one person, doesn't it? To help you achieve your goal or to believe in the dream that you have. Sometimes it takes that one person, and my dad was that person, and my mum, massively my mum, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but Stephen, good things happens to good people. That's why I do believe that. As corny as it
very,
sounds.
very hard.
Namaste.
It wasn't overnight success. It was a long graft. So good on you.
Now you're making us nervous. We've got him in this week as well, Robert De Niro's new film. Have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen it yet. Looks boss. He plays both characters.
Yes.
Brilliant. What's he like? Is he all right?
He's lovely.
Yeah?
He's really lovely.
Stephen, you've been such a good sport. Thanks for coming in. We promised we didn't mean to get you into cry.
That's all right.
It's because you're so humble as well.
Yeah.
Not my contact lens.
Literally, he's got his contact.
I've got it on my finger here. Yeah. No.
Adolescence.
Love you, Dad. Thank you very much.
Lovely,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Adolescence is streaming now on Netflix. Give it up one more time for the brilliant Stephen Graham.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers. Thank you.